Guitar God 645 asks, what's changed since you won Stars in Their Eyes?
One of the things that's different from Stars in Their Eyes is I've seen a lot more of the world since than I ever would have if I'd just stayed as a computer salesman. I get to pick and choose when I have the time off, and I get to do a job that I absolutely love. So in that respect, that's probably the main things about.
Do you still have a love for the Stars in Their Eyes show? I mean, a lot of people slate these programmes like X Factor and Stars in Their Eyes, and what's your opinion on that?
Well,
Stars in Their Eyes?
The Stars in Their Eyes thing was different from things like X Factor or Pop Idol because it wasn't actually a prize. There wasn't like a...
There wasn't a prize at the end of it as such?
You just got your 5 minutes of fame, you won a TV show, you got your 5 minutes of fame being the champion, and that was the end of it. Whereas X Factor and Pop Idol and Pop Stars, there was a record contract. And
so after Stars in Their Eyes, that's the end of your...
You're back to your day job and you carry on as normal. So what's happened is...
Did Stars in Their Eyes show, did it push in the right direction afterwards?
Yeah, the people at Stars in Their Eyes were fantastic. They really they gave me advice and the kind of do's and don'ts if I was, you know, because at that point the offers of work were starting to come in. So people wanted to book me for X, Y and Z, so
they advised you on what direction to go?
What direction to go, and then I got myself an agent and a manager who I've helped steer my career ever since. So it's just a case of doing it and kind of learning it as I went along. And also, as I say, there was no prize. It wasn't like I set out to do this as a career. This was like an accidental career. It wasn't deliberate. It wasn't a deliberate thing. So.
Do you keep in touch with anyone from Stars in Their Eyes at all?
I've lost contact with most of the people now.
As in, do you mean producers or do you mean like
producers, other contestants?
Have you met other acts along the way on the road?
Yeah, I've met a few of the acts. I've met a couple of the guys that I was on the show with. One of the ones I particularly stay in touch with, who was on my series. I didn't get through at the final, but it was a guy called Rob Hughes.
And he did.
David Bowie.
Oh yeah. Didn't he play one of your gigs? He's done
yeah, I've had
together.
Bob on a couple of times.
A couple of times.
On stage with me. Yeah, one of the times was a solo show back in the early days when I was a one-man show. And then we went to his hometown of Llandudno.
He's Welsh, is he?
He's actually Welsh, like from Liverpool way, but he lives in Llandudno, which is North Wales, North Wales Theatre. And I said to him, bring along your costume, I haven't seen it for a while. And I didn't really tell him what we were going to do, and he came along and I said, right, we're doing Under Pressure tonight.
So you surprised him?
Surprised him, so he came along in the afternoon. I was like, the costume, great, still fit you, great, 'cause you need it tonight. And we sound checked the song and we did the song.
On your final, there was quite a few people. I mean, you really hit it off on the final. But do you keep in touch with any other? Or have you worked with any other acts?
I haven't worked with any of them.
Have you got to know any other acts? I mean,
I got to know Tony England, who did Frankie Valli, really well.
He was on your final?
Yeah, and I phoned him quite a few times when I moved house and I lost his phone number, we lost contact and it's a bit. And that was most of them that I stayed in contact with. Katrina Davey, who did Tina Arena, I stayed in contact with for about 3 or 4 years.
Alright.
And every time she lived in Halifax way in Yorkshire.
Yeah, and you're friendly with Frank Sinatra as well.
I was friendly with Stephen Trifford. Stephen's now I think he's in Vegas now doing the Sinatra.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, he toured with the Rat Pack show around the world.
The Rat Pack?
In fact, there was a time we were touring in Germany and a lot of the venues we were playing, he was playing after us. And he was a house husband that was a Sinatra fan and had no intentions of doing this as a career.
At the time of the grand final you won, so you said somebody nearly pulled your wig off? Yeah,
that was Gareth Phillips, who's now one of the associate producers on Coronation Street, was my researcher at the time. Because each contestant is like a researcher or a kind of person that looks after them, as like a kind of bodyguard, minder, friend for the time you're down there. And on the way out to go on the stage to perform the song again and meet Matthew Kelly, all the crew and the cast, all the sort of people from Granada all wait down the kind of the tunnel, so to speak, to go back out. And as I was running by Gareth, and the footage is there for all to see, and nearly pulled the wig clean off. Which would have been like a great piece of TV, you know?
Certainly would have.
It's a kind of
Okay, Mr. Logie asks, do you guys sign autographs?
Okay, hello Mr. Logie, thanks first of all for your question. Yeah, we do sign autographs, and it's one of the parts of the job that I enjoy the most is meeting people after the show. A lot of the times it's venue dependent, because some venues just want the audience straight out of the building, gone. And there's a lot of times I come out to see people and there's nobody there, and you think, oh, well, okay. Yeah, if anyone wants to come for anything signed or anything, come to the stage door. It's the best place, unless there's a designated night where there's an autograph table set up outside, which happens sometimes, but most of the time it's stage door, because venues, especially in the UK, I think that it's quite a UK thing, the venues just want the audience out as quick as possible to kind of.
So if somebody wanted to meet you after the show, the best thing would maybe to ask the guy at the memorabilia store or something like that?
Yeah, go to the merchandise. Most people go to the merchandise store and speak to Steve, our tour manager, and he sells the merchandise as well, and he would say go to Gary's going to come out after the show, or Gary's going to go to the backstage, to the stage door, and the boys will be out there as well. It's very venue dependent, but it's something that I enjoy doing.
So there you go, Mr. Logie, just go and see the merchandise guy at a One Night of Queen show. Okay, we have another question from Imbo8W. Are you seeing Queen and Paul Rodgers on the latest tour?
Well, funnily enough, good question. We actually are. Billy and the bass player and I have actually got some tickets to go and see them in Cardiff, because it's the only date that we can actually physically go to, because the rest of the tour, they're playing in Scotland, for example, playing Glasgow, my hometown, and we are actually in Dunstable for 2 nights, so we can't go. Okay,
while we're on this subject, Mike Virgil and Kid Gloves 2 both want to know if you have any plans to tour with Queen and Paul Rodgers.
Hello guys, thanks for the questions. Good question. I think the answer to that is no, because we are separate entities. This show is a tribute to Freddie and Queen, whereas Queen and Paul Rodgers is Queen and Paul Rodgers. But to tour together would be, I think that'd be kind of weird. I think it'd be very, very weird to do that, because it would be the kind of Queen then and Queen now. So no, we're both completely different shows.
Freddie's such an icon. It's difficult to you know, a lot of fans, die-hard Queen fans, will say you can't replace Freddie. There's only one Freddie, and you're one of the first people to say that yourself.
Yeah, I'm the first person to say, when people say, "Oh, you're not Freddie," I say, "Well, of course I'm not Freddie. I'm Gary Mullen."
So what would you say to these people who do say those things to you, who come onto forums and websites and you can hear on YouTube, and they say things like, "You're not Freddie, you'll never be Freddie," who sometimes sound like they've taken offence to the, you know, to you being Freddie? What would you say to these people?
People have taken offence. The whole idea of forums is to have free speech. We live in a democracy. We live in a time of free speech.
So what would you say to these people in response to what they're saying?
Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. I'm not trying to be Freddie. I'm not Freddie. No one will ever be Freddie. No one is as strong about that as me, because I've been a fan for my entire life. What we're trying to do with this show is to create a moment in time, a moment that people may have seen Queen, may have saw Queen, or who want to see a Queen show with Freddie, or what our interpretation of what a Queen show. It's our interpretation of what a Queen show would have been like with Freddie. It's not 100%. This is what it is. You come along.
It gives people who haven't had the chance to see Queen live. It gives them the chance to sort of see what it could have been like.
Yeah, to what it could have been like, and if people want to make their own comments about that, then that's fair dues to people. People can say what they want. It's a free country.
Well, there's no doubt that Gary Mullen and the Works give the fans One Night of Queen. There's just no doubt about that. Right, question from Kid Loves 2.
Okay.
Do you write original music, and if so, where can we hear it?
Thanks for the question, Kid Loves. Yeah, I do write my own music. I'm actually in the process of writing some songs as we speak. Well, obviously not right now as we speak, but looking to maybe bring some music out. That sounds a bit silly. Probably begin the next year. My friend and I are, who's my long-time songwriting partner, working on some songs.
Who's that?
A guy called Barni Kelly, working on some material at the moment. I've just instantly put some vocal tracks down on Billy Moffat, our bass player in the band's material, which is, I know he has on MySpace. I think it's MySpace /Billy Moff, all one word. Put a couple of tracks on Billy's recording. He's putting some songs on iTunes, and that's the plan, to recording an album and put it on iTunes. So hope that answers your question for you.
GS12 asks, what was it like singing for the UK in Stars and Eurowise?
Yeah, it was good fun. It just felt different. I don't know, it's just felt different because it was obviously the European acts. We had a great time. We had a really, really good time with the other European acts that were on, because it was obviously filmed in Manchester.
Who did you most hit it off with
I had it off with a guy called Peter. Oh, I can't remember what his second name was. I won't even attempt to pronounce it. If you're out there, Peter, hello, from Hungary, who did Tom Jones, and a German lad called Marco Newman, who I've met subsequently since he's came to a couple of shows that we did in Germany. He was Marty Pello, he was, yeah, a German guy doing Marty Pello, doing a Scotsman, and he did a very good job of it as well. We had a guy from Italy called Matthias, he was the life and soul of the party. We managed to get him on camera to say, obviously one of the English phrases for everything's going great is top banana. So we managed to get him on camera, live on TV, to say top banana.
And who did he do at the show with?
He was Ricky Martin.